see exactly what we already know about mitosis and about today's lesson, meiosis. Now remember, when cells need to replicate, they go through a process called mitosis. Mitosis is where we have the cell replicating along with the nucleus. So the chromosomes are replicated and the cell divides. Now genes attached to chromosomes are the instructions for your specific characteristics, like height, hair color, eye color, etc. So these are things that we already know. Now we're moving into some things that we don't really know. Let's talk about homologous chromosomes. Now the chromosomes in cells that are matched in homologous chromosomes, which are two chromosomes that carry genes controlling the same inherited characteristics. This is a picture of a homologous chromosome right here. So right here we have basically two chromosomes that are exactly the same. One of the chromosomes in the pair was originally inherited from your mom, and one was originally inherited from your dad. So if we take a look at this particular one right here, notice this side, let's say right here, was from your mom, and that side was from your dad. In humans, one of the 23 pairs are sex chromosomes, basically the ones that make you male or female. The other two chromosomes are called autosomes. So we are going to talk about two sets. We have sex chromosomes and we have autosomes. Now a trait is a specific characteristic of an individual. And that's specifically what we call those characteristics, like hair color and eye color and all that stuff. So the traits are actually on those chromosomes in genes. Now a karyotype is a display of an individual's homologous pairs. Humans have 46 total chromosomes in 23 pairs. If you were to count all of these together, you should have 46. So here's just a representation. Here's your 22nd chromosome. And then you have also a sex chromosome, which distinguishes you from being male or female. This particular person is a male because they have a Y chromosome. An X and a Y means male, and two X's means a female. Now, if this, for instance, was a karyotype of somebody with Down syndrome, we would actually see an extra copy of a chromosome, an extra chromosome 21. So it looks sort of like this. If I was writing in dark colors, you'd be able to see it. We would actually see 3 chromosomes at 21. And this is called trisomy 21, which causes Down syndrome. So this is a mutation we're going to talk a little bit about later. So why can't mitosis be used to make gametes or sex cells? Gametes are called sex cells. Well, if gametes were made by mitosis, our babies would have too many chromosomes. So what we would actually see is if all humans have 46, and then we go through the process of mitosis, remember that creates 2 daughter cells, exactly the same. So we're going to have 46 chromosomes in the female egg. We're going to have 46 chromosomes in our male sperm. When they come together to fertilize to make the baby is going to have 92 chromosomes. And that is not a human being. So unfortunately, mitosis cannot be used to create babies. We have to come up with some other way to do that. So in order to maintain the same number of chromosomes during sexual reproduction, an organism produces gametes, or sex cells, with half the number of chromosomes. Now you're going to see 2 terms. You're going to see the terms haploid and diploid. When we talk about something being haploid, it means that it has one set of chromosomes. If something is diploid, It has 2 sets of chromosomes. Now let's break that down to kind of see what I mean. Now N is actually used to represent the number of chromosomes. So cells with N number of chromosomes are haploid and 2N are diploid. So for example, anytime we're talking about sex cells or gametes, we're talking about sperm cells or egg cells, it has N number of chromosomes. In human beings, that's 23. That's half the number of chromosomes, basically 1 set. If we're talking about any other cells in the human body, let's say skin cells, that number would be 2N, which represents 46 chromosomes because that's our total. So skin cells are diploid, meaning that it has a full set, 2 sets of chromosomes. Our sex cells, our gametes, have 23. They are haploid. Now, fertilization is the process in which 2 haploid gametes combine. The cell that's produced from fertilization is diploid. So let's see that in a picture form. Let's skip that for the moment. So let's revisit this little thing here. If gametes were made by mitosis, our babies would have too many chromosomes, correct? We saw this. We had 46. If we had 46 in our egg cell and 46 in our sperm cell, our babies would have 92. Instead, our body goes through something called meiosis. And this is where our original normal set of cells, we have 46. But during the process of meiosis, it creates gametes. So it creates our sex cells that only have half the number of chromosomes. So in this case, 46 chromosomes would be diploid, 23 would be haploid. When 2 haploid cells come together, it creates a zygote, and that's our little baby. Now we have 46. Now to go back in your notes, you actually have a chart that looks like this. What I'd like for you to do is to use your awesome knowledge of math and try to imagine and come up with the number of haploid chromosomes and diploid chromosomes in some other types of animals or other types of organisms. Humans, remember, have a diploid number of 46. We have a total of 46 chromosomes. Half that would be haploid, the N number, which is 23. If we take a look at dogs, dogs have 78 chromosomes. That's their total number of chromosomes. So this is 2N. If we were to find the haploid number of that, what would that be? Write your answer here. Take a look at corn. Corn's haploid number is 10. So if we were to double that, it would be the diploid number. Same with fruit flies. So write your answers here. We'll go over those in class. So what is meiosis? All right. Meiosis is a process of cell division that produces 4 haploid cells, which are cells with half the number of chromosomes as the parent cell. That's its goal. Meiosis involves 2 cell divisions. We have meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Don't be scared because it's okay. You've already seen the stages. And meiosis occurs in the sex organs that make the gametes. So for males and females, it's going to be a little bit different. The stages of meiosis look like this. In meiosis 1, we go through the same stages that we did in mitosis. We have prophase, except now we put a 1 to it. Metaphase, 1. Anaphase, 1. Telophase, 1. This is the same process that happens in mitosis. There's some tweaks, and you'll see those as you do some activities. But prophase, your chromosomes will uncoil. Metaphase, the chromosomes move to the middle. Anaphase, the chromosomes will move apart. Telophase, now we're getting into the actual cytoplasm developing and dividing. Except that's not the end. They go through a second stage, a second division, and again they're called, this is called meiosis 2. So we have prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, telophase 2. So the same things happen within each stage. There might be some tweaks, but think back to mitosis. That's pretty much what's happening in these same in my meiosis. And we'll do some activities in class to make sure that you understand that. So meiosis in males is called spermatogenesis, and this occurs in the testes. And basically what's happening, and again, once we do our activities in class, you'll know exactly where we're getting the numbers from. But we have our first division here and our second division here, which creates 4 haploid cells. In females, it's called oogenesis. This occurs in the ovaries, and unfortunately for our females, we only have 1 of 4 cells that survive to become an egg or an ovum. So in this case, we have meiosis 1 happening here. We have mitosis 2 happening here. And in the end, for just females, we only get 1 egg, and we get 3 polar bodies. Basically, these are not egg cells. Your body will just reabsorb them. Now, let's take a look at the difference between the two just really quickly so you can kind of see where some of the differences between mitosis and meiosis lie. So, starting in mitosis, we start with a diploid number of chromosomes. During metaphase, remember, they line up, but they're going to line up unpaired. They're going to line up in almost like one big row. And then what happens is we get 2 new cells that are exact copies, and they're also diploid. In meiosis, because we have 2 divisions, we actually see metaphase kind of happening twice. So we start with a diploid number of chromosomes. When they get to metaphase, they're actually going to line up paired. Notice paired. These guys are going to line up almost like 2 by 2. And then after the first division, now we still have a number of chromosomes in here. They're going to go through a second division, and we produce 4 haploid cells. So in this stage, we're still diploid, much like we are in mitosis, but because we go through that second stage, that second set of divisions, we become 4 haploid cells. Now we have half the number of chromosomes that we did in the original beginning. Now, in your notes, just take a quick quiz. It's not going to be graded. Just go down the list and see if you know where some of the differences lie between mitosis and meiosis. Just make a little check mark or an X. Feel free to use pencil. We'll go over this in class so you see exactly what the difference is between the 2 stages.